Part 34. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Ji. Chapter 333. Qin Ji was really exhausted during this period. He was wandering among the major camps, dealing with all kinds of things he had never encountered before, and writing new books, which made him a little exhausted. After going upstairs, he greeted a few ship girls and then came to his room. Sure enough, Belfast had cleaned his room and replaced the bedding with new ones. And some of my luggage has been placed separately, and the things on the desk have also been sorted. Oh, I really bothered her. When I have time, I must take him out for a walk, Qin Ji said with some feeling. Belfast can be said to be a hard-working one for her. Although she usually has some bad taste, she is generally a very perfect maid. With this idea in mind, Qin Ji took off the commander uniform he was wearing and hung it on a hanger, then lay on the bed and fell asleep. This time he slept very peacefully. He no longer thought about how to deal with the senior leaders of other camps, nor did he think about the gains and losses of the game. He lay down in the place where he felt most at ease, and put everything down just to have a good rest. While Qin Ji was sleeping, several ship girls also came to Qin Ji's room, but after seeing Qin Ji sleeping sweetly on the bed, they all left gently. Because they knew that Qin Ji was too tired. He is under more stress than any of them. Let him take a good rest if possible. When Qin Ji woke up, it was already afternoon. I got up and put on my clothes, rubbed my sleepy eyes, and when I walked outside, I found that my wife was not on the second floor. Strange, where did they go? Why is no one here? Qin Ji said to himself. According to usual habits, at this time in the afternoon, Guanghui and some skills should have a tea party in the public rest area, but there was no one at this time. With this question in mind, Qin Ji walked down the stairs and came to the lobby on the first floor. I heard bustling sounds coming from the conference room nearby. So Qin Ji turned around and walked towards the conference room. As soon as he walked to the door, he saw a lively scene inside. It turned out that personnel dispatched from the 9 major camps came to the guest house, and other ship girls were currently there to receive them. No wonder there was no one on the second floor. Naturally, someone had discovered Qin Ji's arrival, and she came from the viciousness of the Vichy Holy See. She sat upright from the conference table where she was lying, and said to the ship girls, "Is he your commander?" Everyone in the conference room stopped talking when they heard the vicious voice, and turned to look at the door. Sure enough, they saw Qin Ji looking at everyone with a blank look on his face. "Commander, are you awake?" Guanghui quickly walked up and took Qin Ji's arm. "Well, it seems that a lot of things happened while I was sleeping." Qin Ji looked at the people in the conference room and said to Guanghui. Yes, Guanghui nodded with a smile. It seems that because the Prince of Wales took Akagi and Kaga to the guest house to make arrangements, and with the arrival of Aurora, the other camps knew that you had returned, Commander. So they all came to our house one after another. As the host, we naturally had to entertain them. However, there were more and more people from the 9 camps, and we were sure that our living room could not accommodate them, so we came to the conference room. Qin Ji smiled and nodded, "Thank you for your hard work, but why didn't you wake me up then?" "It's not because Commander slept so soundly. After working so hard for so many days, it was hard for us to get a good night's sleep. How could we have the heart to wake you up? What's more, such a scene is not difficult for us, so we can do it ourselves," Prince Eugen said. Then Bismarck and Veneto also nodded. Veneto smiled and said, "Commander, the 2 of us can be regarded as the general flagship of the same camp. Although we are not in the position now, we can deal with these things. Things are still within reach." Qin Ji smiled and said, "Yes." After finishing speaking, Qin Ji walked to the conference room. "When I was chatting with the ship girls just now, the ship girls dispatched by the other 8 camps were paying attention to Qin Ji. Naturally, there are looks of surprise or smiles, and familiar looks. Because many of the people inside have met in Chang'e, but some of them have not spoken to each other. Of course, there are also some people who have never seen Qingji, such as Essex from the White Eagle camp, and the vicious people from the Vichy Holy See. I'm really sorry. I'm a little tired after a few days of long journey, so I took a short rest and kept everyone waiting, Qingji said to everyone. It doesn't matter. Commander Qingji is a human being after all. After such a long journey and hard work, he will definitely feel exhausted physically and mentally. We came here today to interrupt, but this is the order of the camp leader, so we must carry it out. And there is nothing else to do today, just say hello, and we may work together for a long time in the future, so it is best to have a good impression. York City said softly. Then I'll lend you some good words, Qingji said with a smile. So Commander Qingji, what are your plans for the next school year? Can you tell us here so that we can be prepared? Hao said. She had not asked the Prince of Wales about these matters before. After all, she was there as a guest, and Qingji had just returned. Going to the Prince of Wales was a report. What are your plans for the next school year? Qingji thought for a moment and said, according to my arrangements, we will shift our focus to the large fleet next school year. In addition, the tactical course is handed over to the school, and the new tactical instructor will go out to make commissions every day and try to summon the planned ship in the shortest possible time. I usually arrange to write a book when I have no time to rest. After all, I have promised the 9 major camps to write about the control of information rights. The next affairs will depend on how the college arranges them. If I need to do something, I will definitely do it. After Qingji finished speaking, everyone nodded. It seems like Commander Qingji's usual schedule is a bit busy, York City said with a smile. Qingji smiled and said, compared to other commanders, it may be a little busier, but this is how I came here in the first half of this year, so I must be used to this rhythm. With a commander like this, it's no wonder that the ship girls under his command are generally very skilled. It seems that your ship girls already regard you as their role model, Scharnhorst nodded. Qingji looked at his ship girls and smiled slightly. I am not a role model. I can only say that I will do my best to make them stronger. You can go to more distant battlefields, and you can survive on the battlefield. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 334. As York City said, they came today to say hello to Qingji and his ship girl. After a few casual chats, they stopped disturbing Qingji and his wife and left the guest house together. In the next day or two, Qingji did not assign tasks to his ship girls. It wasn't until the 3rd day after he came back that he arranged for a group of ship girls to go for training. As for the execution of tasks, there are no such arrangements in the short term. Because school will start in a few days, and the Prince of Wales also brought the new tactics instructor to Qingji. Cologne? Why is it you? Qingji looked at the familiar ship girl in front of him in surprise and asked doubtfully. Haha, Commander Qingji, we meet again. Colin adjusted his glasses and said to Qingji. No, aren't you from the Maritime Safety Administration? Why did you transfer to the Commander's Academy? Qingji continued to ask. Cologne smiled and did not answer, looking at the Prince of Wales aside. Sure enough, the Prince of Wales answered Qingji's question for Cologne. It's like this. From next semester, Cologne will be your deputy. She will learn from you how to teach comprehensive tactics classes well. Listening to the answer of the Prince of Wales, Qingji asked with some confusion, No, Senior Mikasa said before that he was the tactics instructor from Shigesakura. Why is it changed to Cologne now? The Prince of Wales stroked his forehead and said helplessly, that was originally the arrangement, and it was Chang'e's plan and magical power. But don't you know? This time you have brought back all the people in charge of Chang'e. The new Chongying alliance is governed by Xianghe Ziwehe. Naturally, Shentong cannot come over, so she has to stay to assist them. So what do you think I can do? It was already agreed upon, but something like this happened midway. It just so happened that Cologne of the Maritime Safety Bureau had done tactical planning for the Maritime Safety Bureau before, so I borrowed it from Soryu. Ah, Qin Ji's eyes widened and he looked at the Prince of Wales in disbelief. He suddenly remembered the very profound words that Shentong said to him when he was leaving the hotel. Originally, we should have had the opportunity to work together, but times have changed things. I hope we can become friends in the future. At that time, Qin Ji thought it was a collaboration with Chongying. After all, Shentong was the one who succeeded Xianghe and Ziwehe. But I didn't expect that the real meaning of the magical power is this. It seems that the situation is really a trick of the times. Well, it's actually not bad to switch to Cologne. After all, she is a free ship girl and is not constrained by the camp like Avatar. And in her memory, she is one of the strategists. She follows you to take over as the instructor of the tactics class, and she can also be regarded as your professional counterpart. So from now on, the two of you should work together to teach Cologne the tactical knowledge you know, so that she can inherit your knowledge and continue to teach at the Commander Academy. Said the Prince of Wales. Haha, the Dean is right. When I was at the Maritime Safety Administration, I often heard the commanders of the large fleets say how powerful Commander Qin Ji's tactics were. And I also read the 2 tactical textbooks you compiled, and I was deeply touched by them. I am very excited to get this opportunity, so please give me your guidance in the future, Mentor Qin Ji. Colin said to Qin Ji with a smile. Qin Ji quickly waved his hand. It's enough for everyone to make progress together. No one has to give advice to anyone. So please work together and make progress together in the future, Tutor Cologne. The 2 people stretched out their right hands to each other, shook it gently, and then looked at each other and smiled, looking very harmonious. I feel relieved when I see you like this, and I will leave the subsequent tactical lessons to you too. However, since Commander Qin Ji needs to perform some tasks this year, Cologne will still need you to teach most of the time. In view of Qin Ji's previous situation, you will be a little stressed here. The Prince of Wales smiled. It doesn't matter. If Instructor Qin Ji doesn't mind, I hope to use this period of time to communicate with him as much as possible to facilitate the teaching of classes later, Cologne said to the Prince of Wales, but she did say this to Qin Ji. Listen. Of course there is no problem. I don't have much to do during this period. I have a lot of time to talk with Instructor Cologne about future tactical courses, Qin Ji said quickly. That's it? You will arrange and discuss the specific time. Cologne's room will be arranged in the house where you lived before. Is this another kind of inheritance? Haha, that's it anyway. From now on, the tactics course at the Commander Academy will be left to you too. Said the Prince of Wales. Don't worry, Dean, Qin Ji and Cologne said in unison. After that, the Prince of Wales left the guest house, but Cologne did not leave, because it was not long before the start of school, so she wanted to take advantage of this period to discuss as much as possible with Qin Ji the contents of the tactical textbook, so that she could do a good job, sufficient preparation. And Colin is also very meticulous. She always has a notebook in her hand. While the two were discussing, she spread out her notebook. When Qin Ji said the wonderful and classic part, Cologne immediately recorded it. Especially regarding offshore defense strategy and defense tactics, Cologne never stopped writing. Actually, in defensive tactics, there is another point that is very easy to ignore, and that is a short attack, also called a short attack, Qin Ji said to Cologne. Short attack? Where to attack? Where to attack? Instructor Qin Ji, can you give me a detailed introduction? Colin asked while remembering. Qin Ji immediately drew a series of sketches on the paper in front of him, pointed to the sketches he drew and said to Cologne, because when we defend, we have to face the enemy's attack from all fronts. If we are in without enough troops, it is basically impossible to implement cutting tactics. But we can't defend there and be beaten passively, so we can look for weak points in the enemy's attack power to break through. For example, if there is a destroyer group at the front of the enemy, we can send ship girls to attack directly with superior firepower to destroy that destroyer group. Then immediately retreat. Will the firepower at the location of the destroyer group be weaker than before? Then, the ship girls originally sent out were adjusted to both sides to suppress superior firepower and perform dynamic defense. Will this provide a defensive advantage and open up a firepower point for the opponent? After that, Cologne kept nodding along with Qin Ji's description, carefully and patiently recording every word Qin Ji said. At this time, she suddenly discovered that she had probably been too conservative about the man in front of her before. After discussing strategies and tactics with him at close range, she realized how knowledgeable this man really was. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 335. Is this okay? Qin Gang stood in front of the mirror, looked at himself in the fitting mirror, and said with a smile. Well, the master looks very energetic and handsome, Belfast said with a smile from the side. The light in his eyes was flowing, and the deep feelings were beyond words. Qin Ji smiled, turned around and looked at Belfast. You took care of it well. If I did it myself, I would never have such good results. But having said that, time flies so fast. I don't even feel that these few days have passed by so quickly. Today is already the time for the opening ceremony. Yes, after today, the master will be busy again, Belfast said with some distress. As Qin Ji's personal maid, Belfast has seen too much of Qin Ji when he is busy. Compared to ordinary people, my commander has endured much more. Maybe I'm so busy that I can't rest. Qin Ji smiled and said, okay, don't say such depressing words. Senior Mikasa should still be waiting for me at her house. By the way, I have to call you this time. Cologne. But master, do you really don't need us to go? Belfast asked. No need, the opening ceremony is in the school, there is nothing unsafe. What's more, when I attended the opening ceremony for the first time, Centaur and Nashiro didn't go either, Qin Ji said. Belfast nodded, then I will accompany the master to the edge of the venue. We have almost done everything today, but we can use this period of time as a rest. Faced with such demands from Belfast, Qin Ji could no longer say no and could only nod and agree to her request. So the two of them walked out of the guest house and walked along the road in front of the guest house towards Mikasa and Cologne's rooms. When they first arrived at the door of Mikasa and Cologne's room, they found that they were already standing there waiting. Hello, Senior Mikasa. Hello, Master Cologne. I was about to call you, but it seems that you are earlier than I thought. Qin Ji said hello to the two of them. Haha, hello, Teacher Qin Ji. In fact, we just came out. Senior Mikasa came over to call me and said that Teacher Qin Ji might be here soon. It seems that Senior Mikasa was right. We just came out and saw you leaving. Come here, Colin said with a smile. Qin Ji looked at Mikasa, who was standing aside, and saw Mikasa looking at him with a smile. I think according to your past personality, it's about this time. Yes, Qin Ji smiled and nodded, then let's go together. Okay, Mikasa nodded, and they walked towards the venue together. On the way, Mikasa said to Qin Ji, why did you bring Belfast with you to the meeting this time? Qin Ji looked at Belfast beside him, smiled and said, I told her before, but she wants to insist on it, so that's the way it is. Haha, it seems that they are indeed maids with perfect trust. When will you give them rings? Mikasa teased. Shinji had a dark look on his face. Senior Mikasa, stop teasing me. It's still early for rings and stuff. That is to say, you plan to give them rings, but not now, so when are you going to give them rings? Mikasa heard the flaw in Shinji's words, so she asked immediately. This. Shinji was speechless, turned to look at Belfast, and found that she still had that perfect and chic smile, not affected by Mikasa's words at all. Taking a deep breath, Shinji said, I don't know either. Let's wait until we establish a foothold in this world first. You also know my situation now. Although I seem to be the favored son of heaven, the situation inside. Therefore, it is too early to talk about these issues now. At least we should wait until we can gain a foothold before talking about these issues. Hearing what Shinji said, Mikasa also nodded slightly. She knew what Shinji meant, but there was nothing she could do about it. At this time, the light in Belfast's eyes, who was following Shinji, changed, but he didn't say anything, and he still had that smile on his face. As for Colin on the side, he looked at Shinji with some surprise. It seemed that this commander who was famous in Donghuang had encountered some problems, and these problems were not very simple. So with that in mind, the four of them walked to the open-air venue outside the auditorium. Telling Belfast to be waiting for him not far away, Shinji, Mikasa and Cologne walked onto the instructor stage. As expected, just like the first time, they were the first to come. Shinji, who was sitting on the stage, turned to look at the commanders below. At this time, the commanders of the two grades sat separately and behaved completely differently. The second grade students were relatively calm and quiet. After a summer of experience, they finally had a clear understanding of this war, and they were no longer the same as before. The new first-year students were more active and curious about everything. Many of their eyes were filled with excitement, and they were whispering to each other and chatting happily. What are you looking at? Mikasa asked with a smile. Shinji smiled and shook his head. The passing time? You can say that. The passing time? Why do you suddenly say such philosophical words? You are still young. Mikasa laughed. No, I didn't pay that much attention to the expressions on everyone's faces in the first semester, but now when I look at everyone's performance and expressions, I suddenly feel nostalgic. Shinji said. Yes, they have all grown up, Mikasa said, looking at the group of second graders. This is normal. Regarding these, I actually see more commanders. Commanders who have just left the academy and commanders who have served for many years. Each of them has a different feeling. In fact, I quite like it here. In the past, at the port, I could always see enthusiastic commanders rushing to the battlefield. This kind of drive is something that older commanders do not possess. Colin smiled. When Shinji heard what Cologne said, he smiled and asked her, so, what is the deepest impression that the older commanders left on you? Colin thought for a while, then adjusted his glasses and said, be calm, capable, and learn to give in. Shinji nodded, he could imagine it. Because among the commanders of the large fleets he coached, there were also older ones. They don't like to ask questions, but they listen most attentively. On the contrary, younger commanders always like to ask some questions to let themselves know more comprehensively. The three of them were chatting like this. After a while, other instructors arrived one after another, and the environment in the venue gradually became quiet. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 336. Just like last year, when everyone calmed down and the instructors took their places. The Prince of Wales came onto the stage with several guests from one side, including Kang Long, Director of the Maritime Safety Bureau, Li Siyuan, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and Anshan, who had returned from the front line. As for the company, because it was a special situation last time, we had to come back and report to the headquarters, so we attended the opening ceremony. But this time it seemed normal. After all, Anshan was originally the deputy of the Donghuang Frontline Command. She and her 3 sisters used to attend the opening ceremony as representatives. After the guests were seated, the Prince of Wales stood in front of the stage as before and asked everyone to stand up and take off their hats, and then observed 3 minutes of silence. This is a tribute to the ship girls and commanders who died on the battlefield, and it is also a warning to many commanders that war is cruel. Then, it is the normal conference process. However, what made Qin Ji feel a little strange was that no one from the other 8 camps came to watch the ceremony, which surprised him. After the oath-taking and the opening ceremony were over, when Qin Ji walked back with Mikasa and others, he raised this question to Mikasa. Haha, they all came to this school because of you, so they have no interest in the opening ceremony of the Commander Academy, so naturally they don't need to come. And if they come, then the scale of this opening ceremony will be too huge. After all, they represent their respective camps here. If they come, I am afraid Commander-in-Chief Yuxian should come. Mikasa said with a smile. Her answer stunned Qin Ji for a moment, but Qin Ji reacted immediately. As Mikasa said, envoys from other camps are not obliged to come to attend the opening ceremony of Donghuang Commander Academy, because their purpose is not here, but with him. After saying goodbye to everyone, Qin Ji took Belfast not directly back to the guest house. Instead, the 2 of them strolled on the main road of the school and walked towards the commander's rest area. Bring everything with you, Belfast, Qin Ji asked as he walked. Don't worry, Master, how could I forget these things, Belfast said with a smile. Qin Ji smiled and said, I wonder what they did during this holiday. Maybe they have some very exciting stories. I think so. After all, there are no ordinary people in the Master's fleet, Belfast said with a smile. In more than a month, there will be a new Siren Tide. I told them before that we want to participate in this Siren Tide. I don't know if they are ready, Qin Ji said. Probably, but they are still different from the Master, so has the Master prepared the general policy for this Siren Tide, Belfast asked. We will follow what we discussed before. This time I have to be responsible for them. It is impossible for them to be in danger before they even graduate from school, Qin Ji said. Master, don't worry too much. Although they are different from the Master, they are very good compared to other commanders. As long as the commander has a good combat policy and decides on strategies and tactics, I believe that this time the Siren Tide will a very smooth ride, Belfast returned. Oh, why did we end up here again after chatting? Forget it, there is still 1 month. During this time, we should first formulate a training strategy for them and let them practice together with the rest of us. Let's not talk about it for now. Do you think they will like the gifts I bought for them? Qin Ji said with a smile. Yes, Belfast's answer was very simple, but also very firm. That's good, Qin Ji said with a smile. In this way, the 2 of them chatted and moved forward until they arrived at Li Chenming's room. Knocked on the door, and immediately there was a reply from inside. After opening the door, Qin Gang discovered that it was the Admiral Hipper. Huh? Commander Qin Ji. Obviously Hipper was stunned for a moment by Qin Ji's arrival, but she reacted immediately, came over and opened the door, turned her head and shouted into the house, Commander, your boss, the boss is here, come out quickly. Hello, Hipper, Qin Ji said with a smile, what is Li Chenming doing now? Hipper opened the door and said to Qin Ji, Commander Qin Ji, please go ahead. The commander is sorting out supplies. He seems to be going to large-scale construction. Following Hipper into the door, Qin Ji said in surprise, I remember Li Chenming didn't have any supplies during the holiday. Yes, these supplies are all obtained from tasks during the summer vacation, Hipper said. So you didn't take a break during the summer vacation and were always outside doing tasks, Qin Ji asked. I rested for a few days, but spent the rest of the time doing tasks. I heard from the commander that Commander Qin Ji went to Chongying during the summer vacation, Hipper asked curiously. That's right, Qin Ji nodded. While several people were chatting, Li Chenming quickly ran down the stairs, holding several Rubik's cubes in his hands. Hello, Commander, Li Chenming said jokingly after seeing Qin Ji. Hello, Deputy Commander, Qin Ji said angrily. What are you doing holding the mind cube in your hand? Are you planning to build it now? No, Li Chenming shook his head, placed the Rubik's cube in his hand in front of Qin Ji, and said a little obscenely, come on, Commander, use your hands to open these mental Rubik's cubes for me, and touch them with you luck. Qin Ji rolled his eyes. Do you think I'm an eminent monk? And you're giving me a blessing? Why don't you let me pray for you? If it's possible, I wouldn't mind saying it, Li Chenming said with a smile. Okay, no need. Although Qin Ji said these words, his hand still touched the Rubik's cube placed on the table. Pick them up one by one and put them down. After all, my luck is too special, especially when I go to Chongying this time. If my luck can help Li Chenming, then I don't mind following his advice and giving these mental Rubik's cubes a so-called consecration. Hey, I said the commander is the best. Li Chenming was very excited when he saw Qin Ji touching the mental cubes he got on the table one after another. But this scene made Hipper frown and silently distance himself from Li Chenming, pretending that he didn't know him. Ahem, that's it, Qin Ji said speechlessly, then turned to Belfast and nodded. Belfast immediately understood what Qin Ji meant, and began to select Qin Ji's friends from his own ship space. Those gifts were taken out. I didn't go anywhere else when I went to Chongying this time, so I just bought some commemorative things there. I'll give them to you as gifts. After I put all the things here with you, you can share them with them. Qin Ji pointed at the gift Belfast brought out and said to Li Chenming. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 337. Ah. Do we have something too? Li Chenming said in surprise, and then looked at the gifts on the table. Ho ho, it's pretty good. The sake, dolls, sashimi, and confectionery are all from Shigisakura Island. These are good things that ordinary people can't get. After all, Li Chenming comes from a businessman family, so he has studied some things in depth. After casually browsing it twice, you will know that it is something from Chongsakura Island. Look at your tone, has it happened before? Qin Ji asked. Li Chenming quickly shook his head. No, you also know that my family is in business, so you have seen it before. But these things are usually sold, why would you keep them for yourself? So this is the first time I have received such a precious gift. Qin Ji smiled and said, I really don't dare to let President Li Siyuan's son say such things. Why are you lying to me? It's true. My father's temper will never get used to us, Li Chenming said. Haha, I'm just kidding. Since you like it so much, it seems I made the right purchase, Qin Ji said with a smile. Hee, of course I bought the right thing, Li Chenming said happily as he packed up the things on the table. Don't keep it all to yourself, leave some for them, Qin Ji said quickly. Am I that kind of person? Li Chenming said quickly. Besides, it's normal for me to keep these foods and enjoy them myself. What do I want with this kind of female kimono? Should I wear it myself? Qin Ji thought for a while. Actually, Guanghui chose this female kimono based on Wang Yukin's figure, but if you want to wear it, I don't mind giving it to you. Li Chenming spurted out immediately, and Hipper beside him was also happy. I said, Commander, you went to Chongying this time. Why do I feel a lot more cheerful and humorous? You can tell me that I'm wearing women's clothes. Are you stimulated by something? Li Chenming speechless. Ahem, no, Qin Ji quickly shook his head. I just feel that instead of living every day so seriously, it would be better to be happy. That's right, Li Chenming nodded. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Just look at the distribution of things. Anyway, you, the deputy commander, are in charge of logistics, Qin Ji said with a smile. So, what did you do this summer vacation? Li Chenming pointed to the Rubik's Cube on the table. Hey, all my gains from this summer vacation are here. So you did a summer job, Qin Ji laughed. Who says it's not the case? If it weren't for the start of school today, I might still be out running tasks right now. Li Chenming sat down and said. So desperate, Qin Ji said in surprise. It's not a matter of working hard or not. The key is that I want to catch up with everyone. Now my fleet's firepower can't keep up, so I want to take advantage of this time to rest, run more tasks, and build something when I go back to school. A stronger ship girl will come out to improve the strength of the fleet, Li Chenming said to Qin Ji. Well, although this kind of spirit is worthy of praise, this kind of behavior is not worth promoting. Didn't I tell you before? It is a good thing to work hard on tasks, but you should also take a break at an appropriate time. You must maintain a balance between work and rest, between yourself and the ship girl, so that you can have the means to leave or defeat an unexpected situation. If you didn't discover potential dangers because you were too tired or the ship girl was too tired, then why do you think so many students in the academy died due to missions? Qin Ji said. This. Li Chenming suddenly became ashamed. He knew that what Qin Ji said was for his own good, but he didn't think about it that much before. He just wanted to work hard to develop his fleet. You have to remember that you have to rest when you should, and don't let yourself fall into passivity for the sake of temporary benefits, Qin Ji said. I know, I will pay attention to it in the future. Li Chenming nodded and agreed. What about the other people? Did you do any tasks together during the summer vacation? Qin Ji asked. We did an emergency mission together to support the mission on Mbura Island, Li Chenming said. Mbura Island, it's such a nostalgic name, Qin Ji said with a smile. Has the commander also been to this island and done missions? Li Chenming asked. Well, my first mission was to go to this island, Qin Ji smiled. At that time, I only had 3 ship girls, Node, Centaur, and Belfast. Time flies so fast. Li Chenming rolled his eyes. Time flies so fast. You are not an old man now. It has only been more than half a year. Ahem, let's express our feelings once in a while, don't take it so seriously, Qin Ji smiled, but it's great to see you again. Let's inform the others that we will have a training camp starting tomorrow afternoon. In addition, I will deploy our fleet after some planning. When I wait for a month to October, I will take my ship girl to do the mission with you. At that time, you must listen to me, because by that time, we will be facing the Siren Tide. Understood, Li Chenming said firmly. Qin Ji smiled and said, then I won't disturb you anymore. It's time for me to go back. I still have a book I haven't finished yet. I have to work harder while I'm free. Commander, you too, you should pay more attention to your health, pay more attention to rest, and don't tire yourself out, Li Chenming said to Qin Ji. Don't worry. After Qin Ji said that, he stood up and left Li Chenming's house with Belfast. When Li Chenming closed the door and returned to the living room, Hipper said to him, why didn't you ask him what happened to Chongying? Li Chenming shook his head. If the commander wants to tell me, then he will definitely tell me, but he has been deliberately avoiding the question from beginning to end. Obviously the things there are confidential. Since it's confidential, it's not convenient for me to ask. Sometimes you don't need to know too much, and there is no benefit in knowing too much. But Hipper, do you feel that the commander has become more mature? Much better than the commander, Hipper said directly. Well, being arrogant is useless, Li Chenming said speechlessly. Hipper jumped up like a cat whose tail was stepped on. Who do you think is Tsundere? You are the Tsundere, and your whole family is tsundere. Humph. After scolding Li Chenming, Hipper immediately turned around and ran back upstairs, leaving Li Chenming standing alone and speechless. After a while, Z1 walked down rubbing his eyes and saw Li Chenming standing there. "Commander, why did Hipper run up?" He seemed a little angry. Z1 asked Li Chenming. "You're so arrogant, it's not like you don't know her temperament," Li Chenming said speechlessly, then turned to Z1 and said, "You're here just in time, use your visible space to pack these things, let's go to other places in the fleet there personally." "Yes, Commander." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Hwangming Muji. Chapter 338. Master knows that it is important to balance work and rest. Why can't you treat yourself like this? You have been working too hard recently. The book can be written at any time, and it does not have to be completed immediately. Walking on the campus, Belfast said to Chin Ji, who was walking in front, his tone full of care. My situation is different from theirs. I can't rest, at least until we gain a firm foothold, Chin Ji said. Master, I think you are a little too stubborn, Belfast said. I can understand your mood, but please don't forget the most important thing. Our fleet exists only because of you. If you fall one day, then our fleet will exist in name only. I understand, thank you Belfast for reminding me, Chin Ji agreed with a smile. But Belfast, who was following Chin Ji, frowned slightly, because she felt that although Chin Ji agreed in words, he might not be able to do it in action. But then I thought about it, if Chin Ji is really the same in the future, then she can take some special methods. Thinking of this, the corner of Belfast's mouth curved. While talking, the two people came back inside, but now none of the ship girls were there. It seemed that they all went to carry out daily training. Chin Ji has no plans to go directly to the training ground now, because the ship girls have their own training methods. Only when training their teamwork skills, Chin Ji will go to the scene to guide them. As soon as he came back, he came to the room, opened the book and began to write. Belfast didn't say anything when he saw this scene. After all, Chin Ji's work had just begun today. As time passed, Chin Ji lay beside the case, occasionally raising his head and looking out the window, his eyes distracted, as if he was thinking about something. Sometimes he would lower his head and write rapidly, with a smile on his lips. Sometimes he rubbed his hair and thought hard, sometimes he flipped through the books beside him and looked up something. Belfast saw all this scene, and it wasn't until he heard noises coming from outside that Belfast walked out. Sure enough, as soon as they reached the corridor, they saw Guanghui, Bismarck, and others walking up the stairs while talking. Hey, Belfast, if you are here, then the commander must have returned, right? It was Guanghui who greeted Belfast. Because they both belong to the royal camp, the relationship between the two is still very good. Yes, Miss Guanghui, Belfast nodded and said, the master has been back for a while and is currently writing a book. Thank you for your hard work. Please sit down in the rest area for a while and I will pour you a cup of hot tea. After Belfast finished speaking, he walked towards the water platform nearby. The rest of the ship girls came up the stairs one after another, then walked to the lounge area and sat on the chairs next to the table. After a while, Belfast walked up to everyone with a teapot, put down their teacups, and filled them with black tea. He also took out some snacks, small cakes and the like, and placed them on the table where the ship girls were sitting around. Words of thank you were heard non-stop for a while, and it was only after the last person's tea was poured that Belfast stood next to the table where Guanghui and the others were sitting. It's almost time for dinner now, right? Guanghui said while drinking tea. That's right, in 5 minutes, I should go to Miss Yuxian in the cafeteria to get some food, Belfast said. As expected, she is indeed the most perfect head maid in the royal family. She controls time so accurately, Lexington said with a smile. By the way, Belfast, you haven't come to training this morning. Did you go to the opening ceremony with the commander? Huang Hui asked. Yes, Belfast nodded, and after going to the opening ceremony, I went to Commander Li Chenming's house with my master. Oh? So it seems that the commander's fleet training plan will be launched soon, Prince Eugen said. It's like this. Today, the master has told Commander Li Chenming that starting from tomorrow afternoon, comprehensive training of the large fleet will be carried out. The specific reason is that the Siren Tide will be faced in a month, and the master wants to do his best to use this period of time to improve the strength of the commanders of the large fleet, said Belfast. It is indeed the case. Prince Eugen shook his head and smiled, but these are also part of the plan. When the time comes, we must take the training seriously to improve their strength. In this way, they will become part of our forces in the future. They must be managed well, and the best result is to share some of the pressure on our commanders. This is the best result, but it's a pity that we can't tell them what's inside, otherwise no one can bear the pressure from the 9 major camps, Huang Hui said sadly. Ladies, you can rest assured on this point. The master didn't mention it when he passed by today, and Commander Li Chenming is also a person who is very observant, so he didn't ask. But I guess that he might have thought of something and controlled his curiosity well, said Belfast. But you won't be able to hide it for long. The lickers from the 9 major camps are now in the academy, and you will definitely encounter them in the future. Rodney shook his head and said. I think you are too worried. Bismarck, who had not spoken yet, put down the teacup in his hand and said to everyone. When our commander selects members, he puts enough pressure on them. Let the first-year students of the Commander Academy face the Siren Tide. Only he can do such crazy behavior. But even so, the members of the Grand Fleet still chose to follow. Do you think they did not think carefully when making this decision? Following a person like the commander is inherently a kind of gamble. If the bet wins, then they will follow the commander and leave their name in history. Even if the bet fails, they will have the opportunity to regret it. There are a lot of things here. After listening to Bismarck's words, all the ship girls nodded one after another. Prince Eugen said with a smile, as expected of you, you have such a sharp mind now. No, I just believe in him. After Bismarck said this, he stopped talking. Be a person that even Bismarck can trust. It seems that our commander is really amazing. Prince Eugen smiled slightly, and his eyes gradually relaxed. At this time, Belfast bowed to a few people and said, It's time. It's time for me to go to the canteen to get some food. Please wait a moment. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 339. Commander, it's almost time to eat. Belfast has been sending the food back for a long time. If you don't eat it, the food will be cold. Huang Hui walked to Qin Ji, who was writing furiously, and said softly. But what he got was Qin Ji's words. Without even raising his head, Don't worry, I'm writing at the key point now, wait a moment. Huang Hui looked at Qin Ji, who was extremely serious, and sighed silently. This was actually not the first time that he came to call, but Qin Ji always said this. Commander, writing a book is not something that happens overnight, it takes a long time. But in this process, the body is also very important. You must first take care of your body and eat on time before you can have the strength to finish writing these things. If you delay eating for the sake of temporary progress, your body will not be able to bear it. I also hope that the commander can remember this, put down his work as soon as possible, and eat his food first. Huang Hui said. Wait a moment, it will be fine soon. Huang Hui, go and eat your own food first. Don't worry about me for now. I will be there in a minute. Although Qin Ji said this, he still didn't look up. Guanghui had no choice but to retreat. When she came to the door, she saw Belfast standing outside Qin Ji's room. "Has the master not come out yet, Miss Glory?" Belfast asked. "Not yet. The commander keeps saying it will take a while. He is writing at the critical moment. So I can't interrupt him. I can only wait a little longer and call him." When Guanghui said these words, he tilted his head towards the door, obviously helpless. Other ship girls were angry because their commanders were lazy, but it was different here. It was because their commander was so diligent that she had to worry about his health. Belfast nodded. "Miss Guanghui, go and do your work first, and leave the rest to me." "Belfast, what can you do?" Guanghui asked doubtfully. "Of course I went in to persuade the master." Belfast smiled mysteriously. Guanghui was a little confused when he saw this scene, but he didn't ask anything. After all, Belfast was the most perfect head maid in the royal family, and she would definitely not do anything outrageous. So as Guanghui walked towards the rest area, Belfast put his eyes on Qin Ji's door, and with a mysterious smile, he directly opened the door that Guanghui had closed before he came out. In the room, Qin Ji was busy writing at this time and did not notice that Belfast had opened his door again. Belfast watched the scene and walked gently to Qin Ji's side. "Master, it's time to eat now." "Ah, wait a moment, just wait a moment and it will be fine." Qin Ji's words were still the same as when he faced Guanghui before. After hearing such remarks, Belfast showed no sign of anger or anxiety. Instead, he smiled and said, "Master, since he is so busy, he must be physically unable to bear it. So, Master, you write yours and I will help you press it. Touch your shoulders." Before Qin Ji could speak, Belfast leaned his whole body on Qin Ji's back, put his hands on Qin Ji's shoulders, and pressed gently. And this kind of action is more of teasing than helping with massage, because you can tell by looking at Qin Ji's performance. After that, Belfast lay on top of him, and his breath blew gently on Qin Ji's neck. Coupled with Belfast's gentle pressure, Qin Ji couldn't bear it. Now his mind has completely separated from the book in front of him, and his attention is completely focused on the actions in Belfast. "This, Belfast, that, are too close." Qin Ji stuttered. "Does the master think it's too close?" Belfast doesn't think so at all. "After all, I am your personal maid. If such a massage is not personal, the master will not feel comfortable." Belfast was completely. She was pretending to be confused. How could she not know what Qin Ji meant? But the method before Belfast now is the most effective. Qin Ji is the kind of boy who can't stand teasing. As long as he uses some girlish techniques, he will definitely give in. Sure enough, Qin Ji stood up from the stool, turned around, and said in a slightly urgent tone, "Belfast, you." But who knew that Belfast suddenly looked like he was crying, and said pitifully to Qin Ji, "Don't you, master, like Belfast's service? Did I do something wrong? If the owner doesn't like Belfast anymore, then please tell me and I will retire." Belfast, who was usually free and easy in swordsmanship, suddenly became like this. Qin Ji suddenly felt a little overwhelmed and hurriedly shook his hands. "It's not like this, it's not like this. Where did you think it was? I just wanted to say that I'm going to eat now, so I don't need a massage." "Yes, that's what I mean." Seeing Qin Ji's flustered expression, a smile appeared in Belfast's eyes, but his face still had that sad expression. Belfast whispered, "In this case, Commander, please cherish your own body. Then I will go and heat up the commander's meal now, and ask the commander to go to the rest area with me." Okay, let's go now." Singer Qin said hurriedly, walking towards the door and saying to Belfast, "And don't be angry, there is nothing wrong with my body." Writing at this level, it was a common occurrence when we were in high school. Following Qin Ji, Belfast's eyes flickered. "High school? Is it the school that the master went to before? That's right, before I went to college, I spent my time in high school. I basically only had rest days in the first 2 years when I was a freshman and sophomore year in high school. In my senior year of high school, I didn't have any rest days at all. I went to school every day. Classes last until about 10 p.m., and it is common to stay up all night during the month leading up to the exam. So this little pressure is not pressure for me, and I have you with me every day. There is no better treatment than this. Chin-Ge said to Belfast. Thinking back to when I was in high school, I had to work hard until late at night every day in order to get admitted to the Navy's Command Academy. It's not very satisfying to have a schedule like this where you only need to work hard during the day and rest at night. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Hwangming Mu-Ge. Chapter 340. Chin-Ge walked out of the door while telling Belfast, and just outside the door, Chin-Ge saw a surprised look on his face. "Hey, Commander, have you come out to eat?" Guanghui said in surprise. "Yes, after all, people have to eat. As the old saying goes, people are like iron, rice or steel. If you don't eat one meal, you will starve. So I will eat on time in the future and won't worry you anymore," Chin-Ge said, glancing at Belfast aside with his peripheral vision, and saw that her eyes were calmer, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Guanghui glanced at Belfast in surprise. She didn't know how Belfast managed to make such a stubborn Chin-Ge obedient. Obviously this was not the right time to ask these questions. It was a good thing for brother Chin to eat now, so Guanghui smiled and pulled Chin-Ge towards the rest area. After Chin-Ge finished eating, he went back to his house and continued writing the next book. On the other side, Guanghui was sitting in the rest area and asked Belfast who was packing his things. "Belfast, how did you persuade the commander to come out for dinner?" "No matter how much I persuaded him, he didn't respond." "Why did he come out soon after you left? Do you have any special method? Or is there something else that is being hidden from us?" Seeing Guanghui's puzzled look, Belfast straightened up and smiled slightly. Actually, Miss Guanghui also knew it, but Miss Guanghui didn't think of it all at once. "Oh? Now that you say that, I'm even more curious. How did you bring such a stubborn commander here to eat?" Guanghui said. "Actually, the master is a person who is not good at rejecting other people's requests, and the master is also a person who is very bad at rejecting girls, so as long as you show the girl aside in front of the master, then there is nothing to worry about." "What?" Belfast replied. After listening to Belfast's explanation, Guanghui blinked her eyes. She seemed to understand something. So she laughed all of a sudden. "Haha, she is indeed the maid who knows the commander best, and she grasped the key points of everything so easily. It seems that I haven't practiced enough. It turns out that everything is so simple, and the method you mentioned is a tried and tested method for commanders. Unless he changes his personality one day, or completely accepts us. However, I hope that day can come soon. Miss Guanghui, there is actually no need to worry, the master has already thought about this issue. When I was with the master before, he revealed it accidentally. He said that the environment we are facing now is not the time to talk about these things. When our power becomes stronger and we can gain a firm foothold, we will have more free time to deal with these things. But I think some of what he said is true, but some of it also requires our own efforts," said Belfast. "Indeed, the commander is not a proactive person to begin with. If we follow his pace, we will probably die waiting. So give him some pressure and some hints at the right time to make him more accustomed to it." Guanghui laughed. Belfast smiled slightly and said nothing more, but continued to arrange the dishes on the table. Guanghui also raised his head slightly and looked to the other side. There was a light in his eyes, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Time passed quickly, and it was afternoon again in the blink of an eye. This time, Belfast just walked into Qin Ji's room and asked him to eat. Qin Ji hurriedly walked out without any hesitation. As for Qin Ji going out to eat, it naturally made the ship girls who were eating together in the rest area very happy. Javelin even ran to Qin Ji's side with his rice in hand, acting very lively. Helena, who usually looked more serious, had a visible smile on her lips. Everyone was chatting and talking about some aspects of today's training. From these words, Qin Ji also learned about some of the training progress of his ship girl. Overall, the whole afternoon meal seemed to be very enjoyable, which made Qin Ji's originally anxious and nervous heart gradually relax. Even after eating, he did not go directly to his room to write a book. Instead, at Aurora's invitation, he came to the back of the guest house to see the roses cultivated by Aurora herself. When two people walking around from the side of the guest house to the back of the guest house, I saw a rose garden that was obviously cultivated. There were some white fences next to it, and inside the fence, there were bright roses in full bloom. Chung-Ching, is this the rose you planted? It looks so good and smells so good. Qin Ji walked outside the fence, looked at the blooming roses, and said in surprise. Haha, I usually like to plant some roses, and the open space behind our guest house is just suitable for planting, so I asked Ninghai to help me get some rose seeds. They looked pretty good, so I specially asked Ninghai to help me grow some roses. Come over and take a look. It can be considered as letting the commander take a rest. Aurora smiled. Thank you so much. After seeing these bright roses, I feel much better, Qin Ji said with a smile. Commander, why do you need to say thank you to me? In fact, it's us who have to say thank you. Aurora smiled. If you hadn't created such a good environment for us, Commander, how could we have done this all day long? It's a happy life. This is my duty as a commander, no need to thank me. Qin Ji smiled. Well, neither of us should say thank you to whom, wouldn't it be even, Aurora said with a smile. Then she walked to the gap in the fence and said to Qin Ji, Commander, would you like to come in and take a look? Although you can see clearly from outside and smell the flowers, I think it would be better if the distance is closer. Can I go in? What if I step on your flower? Qin Ji asked. It's okay, Commander, just come in boldly, roses are not that fragile, Aurora said with a smile. Okay. Qin Ji nodded and walked into the rose garden from where Aurora just walked in. The scent of flowers was stronger than before. Looking at the roses close at hand, Qin Ji couldn't help but said, sure enough, it feels a little different to look at it from a distance and from the fence. It feels more fragrant now. Really, Aurora smiled, as long as the commander likes it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 341. Although the roses in the garden are gorgeous, Aurora's smile with Qin Ji at the moment is even more gorgeous and refined. The two of them stayed in the rose garden together for a long time, so that when they left the rose garden and returned to their room, Qin Ji's whole body was filled with a faint scent of roses. He also held a rose in the garden that Aurora had specially selected for him. Looking at the roses in his hands, Qin Ji couldn't help but smile, found a bottle, poured some water into the bottle, then placed the roses in the bottle and placed it on his desk. Seeing a different color appear on the desk full of books, Qin Ji suddenly became gentle in his heart. He smiled to himself, then sat down and continued to complete his work. Because today is the day when the opening ceremony is held, tomorrow will be the first day of school, and as a tactics instructor, I have to take the first tactics class. In the following time, this task will gradually be handed over to Cologne. So Qin Ji didn't plan to write for a long time tonight, so as not to affect the next day's class. In fact, he did the same thing. When the time came to about 10 o'clock in the evening, he stopped writing, did a little evening exercise, and went to bed. This also made Belfast and Guanghui breathe a sigh of relief. I thought Qin Ji would stay up late again tonight, but it was great to see that he could rest on time. There was no words for a night. When the second day came and a ray of light in the morning shone into Qin Ji's room, Qin Ji was standing in front of the mirror, and Belfast was helping him sort out his clothes. "Master, are you still going to teach today's class?" Belfast asked. "That's right, Cologne has just arrived and is not familiar with the environment of a large lecture hall. Moreover, she was doing tactical research before and is not very good at giving lectures, so let her sit in on a few lectures first and then give a trial lecture," Qin Ji said. "The master is really considerate," Belfast smiled. Qin Ji smiled and said, "This is not a matter of carelessness, it is just some necessary things. By the way, are you going to train with them later?" "Yes, although I want to be the master's personal maid. My training and strength must not fall too far behind other ladies," Belfast said. "Haha, you are indeed a perfect and chic head maid," Qin Ji smiled and said, "That's it, you can go to training with them then. I will call Cologne, and then we will go to the lecture hall together." "So what are the master's plans after finishing the class?" Belfast asked. "Called Li Chenming and the others to the training ground to start joint training. When I came back yesterday, I had already listed the training schedule. Then we can start practicing according to the standards," Qin Ji said. "Then let's wait for the master at the training ground," Belfast said. "Okay, I'll notify them after class," Qin Ji said. After talking to Belfast, Qin Ji left the guest house and went to Cologne's house. When he came to the house, Qin Ji looked at some familiar houses and couldn't help but smile, because he and Belfast lived here before. And now it has become Cologne's house. According to the Prince of Wales, this was originally the house of the previous tactics instructor. The new tactics instructor lives here, which can be regarded as a legacy. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Ji had too many ships, he might still be living in this house. Maybe Cologne will move here when he leaves school. Shaking his head and discarding the thoughts in his mind, Qin Ji walked forward and knocked on the door of the house. A gentle but firm voice immediately came from inside, "Here we come. Please wait a moment." Not long after, the door was opened, and Cologne wearing glasses appeared in front of Qin Ji. "Ah, tutor Qin Ji, are you here so early?" Cologne asked in surprise. "I remember it should be about an hour before class starts. Could it be that I remembered it wrong?" Qin Ji smiled and shook his head. "You remembered the time correctly, tutor Cologne, there is still about an hour until class starts. But you also know my habits, I hope to get there earlier." "That's right." Senior Mikasa said it during the opening ceremony before Cologne smiled slightly and then said to Qin Ji, "Then please invite instructor Qin Ji to come in and wait a moment. I'll go into the house to get something. We'll be there soon." Set off. "Okay, but I haven't been to this house for a long time." Qin Ji smiled, and under the leadership of Colon, he came to the living room and sat on the sofa. "I forgot that this house was previously occupied by tutor Qin Ji, so you don't have to be polite to ask for a tutor. The layout of the house has not changed much from before, so please feel free to do it yourself. I will go upstairs to get something and I will come down soon." Colon smiled and walked towards the stairs. Although Cologne said there was no need to be polite, Qin Ji still maintained the courtesy that a guest should have. He simply sat on the sofa and took a look at the familiar living room, which was enough for him. Within a few minutes, Colon walked down the stairs, holding the notebook she usually kept by her side, and said to Qin Ji who stood up from the sofa, "Teacher Qin Ji, please wait for a long time, now it's ready, we can go." "It doesn't matter, it doesn't take long to wait." Qin Ji smiled and said, "Then let's set off now." The two of them went out together, and Colon closed the door behind him, and then walked along the road in front of the door to the lecture hall. After arriving at the lecture hall, Qin Ji took Colin to the instructor's lounge next to the lecture hall. Here we can take a break before the bell rings, organize our lesson preparation materials, review what we are going to talk about today, and make a simple summary. This will be beneficial to our performance during the lecture. Qin Ji said to Colin. Colin smiled and nodded. Yes, I remember it, but there is one question that I have always had some doubts about. But I don't know whether to ask it or not. Ask any questions, I don't have that many scruples here, Qin Ji said with a smile. That is, were instructor Qin Ji ever nervous when he taught the first class? Colin asked curiously. I remember Dean Prince of Wales said before that when you gave the first class, the big lecture hall, all first year and second year students were gathered inside, as well as a few tutors, about 400 people. How was instructor Qin Ji's mood at that time? Without a moment of confusion and worry? Because I may encounter such a problem in a few days, I would like to ask for some experience from instructor Qin Ji. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 342. Haha, is that the problem? Qin Ji smiled, then turned to look out the window and saw students wearing commander's clothes walking slowly towards the lecture hall. He said, of course I'm nervous. It's not that I'm afraid that I don't have enough knowledge, but I'm a little worried about whether I can convey the knowledge I've learned to the other party. But these are all things that happened under the podium. When I stood on the podium and saw those people looking at me with longing eyes, I suddenly felt that it was necessary for me to stand there and what I needed to do. It's very simple, that is, I just tell them what I have learned so that they can understand. The first class went very smoothly, but most of the time I was talking and the students were listening. Later I discovered that this model didn't work because many people's understanding abilities were not consistent. Some people may be able to understand it if you tell them once, but some people still don't understand what they don't understand even if you tell them 10 times. So I thought of a way at that time, which was to make the whole class interactive. During the lecture, if there is something you don't understand, after I finish speaking a paragraph, you can raise your hand to raise your doubts and points you don't understand. I am using a language he can understand to explain which paragraph he is familiar with. Just like that, the uneasiness and nervousness gradually disappeared, replaced by confidence. The subsequent classes gradually got much better. No matter who I was facing or what kind of problem I was facing, as long as I gave a reasonable explanation, I could maintain the quality of the class. As Qin Ji spoke, Colin nodded seriously. When it comes to teaching in the lecture hall, Qin Ji can be said to be her teacher. Actually, the specific situation is like this. Maybe I can be more omitted. Today you can sit aside and listen to see how I explain this knowledge. At the same time, you can also combine it with the atmosphere of my class to sort out what belongs to you. A set of classroom teaching methods. Qin Ji smiled. Thank you, Mentor Qin Ji, Colin said with great gratitude. It doesn't matter, there's nothing to be grateful for, and this is just sharing experience. We are the ones who share experience with the commanders, aren't we? Qin Ji waved his hand. Haha, Colin covered his mouth and smiled, and his uneasy heart gradually settled down. In this way, the two of them talked about their experience, while Qin Ji told what he was going to say today and how he would say it. This was also to let Colin get familiar with today's course. Soon, the preparation bell rang. Qin Ji and Colin looked at each other, then left the preparation room and walked to the door of the lecture hall. Standing outside the lecture hall, Qin Ji looked along the door. Sure enough, the lecture hall was as full as ever. And it can be clearly seen that there are some commanders standing in the last row and on both sides. Some of these commanders have the rank of lieutenant, and some even have the rank of school captain. But most of the people sitting in the lecture hall were commanders with the rank of private and private. This was also the rule set by the Prince of Wales at the end of last semester. Students in the Commander's Academy were given priority in the tactics class. Next, came the commanders and deputy commanders of the major fleets who came to listen, as well as some admiring commanders. That's why there was such a strange scene. Lieutenants and school officers were standing on both sides of the classroom, while the students who were trainee commanders were sitting neatly. But the difference between today and the past is that those sitting in the front row are not commanders, but envoys from the 8 major camps. Qin Ji was a little surprised by their appearance, but he was not surprised. Because their job here is to monitor Qin Ji and supervise Qin Ji's growth. It is very normal to appear in Qin Ji's class. Moreover, Qin Ji's books were widely circulated by the top leaders of the 8 camps, and they also wanted to see what kind of theories this young commander could come up with. Who are they? Cologne, who was following Qin Ji, obviously noticed that the front row of ship girls was different, so he asked Qin Ji in surprise. The special envoys of the 8 major camps may become frequent visitors to the lecture hall in the future. Don't be nervous. They have no malicious intent. Just treat them as ordinary students attending the lecture. Qin Ji smiled slightly and said to Cologne. Cologne nodded thoughtfully. She found that Qin Ji knew their identities very well and did not show the slightest surprise at their arrival. It seems that there are still many things that I don't know, and my understanding of Qin Ji is still very shallow. When the official bell rang for class, Qin Ji and others strode into the lecture hall and walked up to the central podium under the gaze of everyone. Colin, who was with him, walked aside and stood there to watch Qin Ji's lecture. I saw Qin Ji put his lesson preparation book on the podium, stood upright, and said to everyone in the lecture hall, "Class." The sound of neat seats moving suddenly sounded, and everyone stood up at this moment, looking at Qin Ji. Qin Ji nodded, and then said, "Sit down." There was another sound of neatly moving seats, and everyone sat down, excluding of course the commanders who were standing on both sides. Qin Ji looked around, looking at the commanders with various expressions. First of all, I am here to welcome the new commanders, because starting from this moment, your career as commanders will officially begin. You are brave, you are fearless, you can be heroes, you can also be guardians. But I want to say one thing here, that is, whether you become a hero or a guardian, the most important thing is how to survive on the battlefield. The reason why the Commander Academy takes the tactics class as the first class of the semester is also here. That is to allow you to use good tactics and strategies to survive on complex battlefields. Only when you survive can you have fighting power. If you die, you will have nothing. So I hope that everyone can listen carefully when I lecture. If you don't understand something, please ask it in time and I will explain it to you. I hope no one will desert my class, because the price of desertion is something you are not willing to pay in the future. After saying this, Qin Ji paused for a moment and continued to look at the serious commanders whose expressions changed. As the first class of the school year, I would like to tell you what war is, what tactics are, what strategy is, what is decision-making, and what is execution. Although these are commonplace topics, as the first class of the school year I think it is necessary to reiterate again. Because the purpose of this class is what you will remember forever. So, let's get started now.